there, and welcome back to the Huddle. Today I'm with Michael Hoenig from the Yuhaaviatam of San Manuel Nation. How are you today, Michael?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Very good. Thank you for joining us here at IGA today. I understand you took part in a panel covering how tribes need to take a more forward-looking approach to prediction markets. What do you believe is the best strategy going forward to regulating the vertical?
Sure. So yes, I was on a panel Monday with a couple other folks. There's about 4 or 5 of us, myself, Joe Webster, Brian Newland, Scott Crowell, that have been working on a lot of the litigation surrounding predictions markets. So far, it's been a lot of filing amicus briefs in support of states that are being sued by the predictions markets, to get the tribal perspective in there, because it is an issue that's definitely affecting states' rights, state sovereignty, but also tribal sovereignty. But sometimes when you see these lawsuits happen, they're in states where maybe there are no tribes, but regardless, it still has a massive impact on the Indian Gaming Regulatory Act and potentially all tribal gaming. So, I think the plan is to keep on with those amicus briefs. I think to date we filed 19 as of yesterday, and there's probably 3 or 4 more on the horizon. So we'll definitely keep on that path. But then also exploring maybe where there are ways where tribes can be more direct when it comes to potential affirmative litigation. So I think all those are all part of the discussion right now.
Absolutely. And how can waiting for action from the state or federal lawmakers potentially increase the risk tribes face from prediction markets?
Well, this litigation is happening. I think there's over 50 lawsuits now. I think when you look at, class action suits, things that are happening in state courts, federal courts, just kind of all across the gamut. So the litigation is going to take a long time. I think in the end, the right side is going to prevail here. The law is on our side, on state side and tribe side. But that's a long time before it gets to the Supreme Court. So, it would be helpful. We think that legislators are starting to realize what's going on. I think there's over 10 bills pending in Congress right now on this, as well as states starting to realize what's happening and look at how they can pass laws to affect this. And hopefully those two, will continue on parallel paths. But, one of them is going to have to resolve this at some point.
Definitely. And how can constructing a unified legal stance help tribes build their own narratives around prediction markets rather than let operators set a regulatory precedent?
Do you mean in the sense of like tribes aside from the commercial operators?
Yeah, I guess taking action before operators can kind of set their own precedent and, getting out in front of the issue.
Got it. Well, with the prediction markets, yeah, I mean, they've been obviously very aggressive in the way that they're approaching the litigation. They're suing states that even potentially think about possibly maybe enforcing their own laws. So, you saw with Utah, there was a tweet from the governor, and I think it was 2 days later, they sued the state of Utah. So, I think it's very important for tribes and states and the commercial industry and everybody else is concerned with this proliferation of online gambling across all 50 states to work together. Because I think, I've been doing gaming for 20 years, gaming law now for 20 years. I've never seen anything like this where state, tribe, commercial, the responsible gaming groups are all in complete alignment on this issue.
Absolutely. From a more general sense, what role do you play in protecting the tribe from unregulated forms of gambling?
Sure. So my job before coming to San Manuel, so I've been with Yuhaaviatam now for about 3 years. Prior to that, I was the general counsel at the National Indian Gaming Commission. So really my long background, I was there for 16 years, is working in the regulatory sphere. I brought some of that, I think, to this position. It's helpful to look at, to have that sense of where, what all the laws and surrounding, requirements, regulations are for just gaming in general. So, when someone's crossing a line, and I'm not talking about San Manuel, obviously, but all the online operators out there, all the people that are looking for what they think are loopholes to be able to come in and do some kind of illegal gaming. We're very much on the lookout for everything. It's not just predictions markets, but there was a sweepstakes ban that was passed in California that San Manuel was very involved in, along with CNIGA and other California tribes. That's something that we also saw as a direct threat. So really, it's just kind of trying to be aware of everything that's happening everywhere at all times and make sure that we're addressing it appropriately.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad you went into your former role with the NIGC, because I was kind of wondering what specific challenges you took on with that commission and how they help better prepare you for your current role.
Yeah, well, I mean, the NIGC is a small agency. Not a lot of people know about it, but it's the federal agency that was set up to regulate tribal gaming in 1988 after the Indian Gaming Regulatory Act was passed. So, really, the only federal gambling laws out there is the Indian Gaming Regulatory Act. So, the NIGC has a very expansive and broad view of everything that's happening everywhere in Indian gaming. And so you really see and get a good understanding of how the industry works as a whole. You understand the differences between some of the smaller facilities that may have a few hundred or maybe just a few gaming devices in a smoke shop or a gas station, all the way up to casinos like Foxwoods in Connecticut and San Manuel in California. And you have a really good understanding of what the range of all of that is. And I'm hopeful that kind of broader perspective of the industry as a whole is of some use to San Manuel.
Of course. And, talking about the tribe, what impact has gaming had on the Yuhaaviatam of San Manuel Nation? And also, how does the tribe continue to innovate while ensuring sovereignty remains at the forefront?
Sure. I think gaming's had a tremendous impact a positive impact for not just Yuhaaviatam and San Manuel Nation, but, Indian country as a whole. I think it's commonly said that it's one of the most successful economic engines that ever came to Indian country. It's allowed a lot of tribes to bring back a lot of important government programs, programs for their citizens, language programs, healthcare, all of these amazing things that have all come from gaming dollars. And in California, there's also the revenue sharing trust fund. So tribes pay into that for tribes that maybe don't have gaming or have fewer gaming devices, to kind of spread that around a little bit to ensure that those tribes also get some benefit from gaming. As far as San Manuel, what they're doing to stay on top of things, it's an amazing team at San Manuel. Not the legal team. We do have an amazing legal team, but also our casino operations, the investment folks. I think they've put together a very sophisticated and well-run team that's doing a lot of exciting things.
That's really fantastic to hear. Thank you so much for joining us today. For The Huddle, I've been Kirk Geller.